The Mark,
Yeah, I'm here,
how are you
y'all.
doing? How
I'm
how is
doing well.
everything?
So far so good.
Yes, yes, yes. It's such a privilege to host you on this channel.
Wow, it's a privilege to be here. I know, yeah, we started talking a few days ago,
Yes, yes,
and not really anything before that. And
yes.
yeah, somebody told me today actually. They said, "Yeah, that guy made a video with you in it." And I said, "Oh gosh." But they took it a little bit negatively, but it is
Oh,
what it is. Yeah.
yes. So I hope you're okay and everything is good.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. How's everything over there on the other
Well,
side of the border?
everything is okay here. We are doing good. People are healthy and all that.
Okay.
All right, all right, all right. So tell us about yourself, brother. Who is
Uh, who is Mark? Mark is Mark. You know, I think one of the most interesting things, I didn't notice it 3 years ago,
Mm,
but I think that one of the most interesting things about not identifying with any particular group or any
mm.
particular stance or any particular, a lot of people fall into boxes. I don't think I do. And so when you say, "Who is Mark?" I just say, "I'm me. I'm me doing me." African
Yes,
American came over here 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago,
yes,
and I was 19 back then. So yeah,
yes.
still
So
here.
you came to Africa while at 19 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are so young. You're so I can't help but ask you these questions, man. So I have these simple questions for you. Uh, Give me a minute as I look upon the questions. So right now, are you in USA or Tanzania?
Right now I'm in Tanzania. I just got over here from Uganda.
Oh, how was Uganda?
I like it.
But you chose Tanzania, though.
Well, God always has a way of bringing you back to where he wants you.
Mm,
Mhm.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. So, I'm looking for the questions on my notepad. I can't seem to find them. Okay,
Take your
here
time.
I
That
found
might be
them.
a sign. They want a
Yeah.
natural conversation.
I just have to ask you some questions.
Mhm.
I need some guiding questions. I
Okay.
need the conversation to have a direction. Direction is important than speed. So, okay. Brother Mark, can you share your story of how you came to live in Tanzania at the age of 19? You just told me you came to Tanzania at 19 years. You are so young, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to the story. I got up, I
Mm,
left, I felt a feeling, and I went and stayed. That's about it. I know it sounds
mm,
simple, but I think that's all there is to it. Everybody has a feeling that tells them what to do, and I just
mm,
listen.
mm. So what did you listen to? What was that thing you listened to?
I've heard it called a few different things. At the
Yes.
time, people were saying the ancestors are leading you back, the ancestors, but I'd like to consider it to be, you know, I like to say it's a friend in me. It's a
Yes.
wonderful spirit.
Yes.
Some people say
Mm.
God.
Yes.
I'll call it
Yes.
God. That's
Yes.
why I'm here. It's a
Yes.
divine thing, really. A lot of us are being led here
Mm.
through. Oh, you adjusted your lighting. Yeah, my lighting's
Yeah.
not so good. I'm in this hotel room.
Yeah.
Now yours matches
Uh-huh.
mine a little better.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So the spirit told you to move out, and you're calling this spirit your friend.
yeah. You can say a father, a friend. I'm not a religious person, and I typically don't
Mm,
even talk about my personal beliefs on social media. I just
mm.
don't think most people need to know. But I guess
Yeah.
after years and years and years, it's a part of who I am. Now, again, I'm
Yeah.
not religious, but I believe in God. And if you want
Yes.
to call this Holy Spirit, I say it's a wonderful friend. He's a
Yes.
wonderful friend, a guide, a father, all that you want it to be, all that you need
Yes.
it to be. Sometimes he's a friend, sometimes he's a guide, sometimes he's a
Mhm.
you fill in the blank. It's up to people to listen to that feeling in them. A lot of people have this, they say everybody has an inner light, an inner voice.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people have spent so long trying to fit into where they're not accepted that they
Yes.
eventually forget what that voice sounds like. Or maybe they don't
Yes.
forget, but the voice gets a little quiet over time.
Yes. So I think the voice is the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit has a name. It's called the Holy Spirit. It's not
Yeah.
called. We can't call it the evil spirit or some ancestor. It's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. But you know what? Some people don't follow that. The Bible tells you, my sheep know my voice, and a strange one they shall not follow. The strange voice is what a lot of people follow. It's that fear, it's that doubt, it's that thing that tells you not to do. It's going to make you question your decisions. It's doubt. Most
Yes.
people operate on a system of fear. Remember, God did not give you a spirit of fear. And so a lot of people are on the wrong spirit. I like to be happy. I like to be peaceful. I like to love. So that's my
Mm.
spirit. You know, that's the system I operate on. And though there
Yes.
are times where you get angry, you can't live in that state. Some people live in a constant state of pain and agony because they wake
Yes.
up. We talked about this yesterday. They wake up, they're angry. That means they're suffering. They wake up, they're
Mm.
sad. That means they're suffering. They wake up,
Uh-huh.
they're miserable. They don't like where they are. They're not enjoying the situation, both in Africa and in America and in the UK. It's all over the world. How many
Mm.
people do you know that wake up and they just don't like their neighbors? They're mad at their family. They dislike something.
You see, back here in Kenya, I had this uncle. One day he went nuts. So one day he woke up and he took a panga. Do you know panga? Machete.
Yeah, machete.
Yeah. He took a machete, using African accent here. So he took a machete and he went to where his children were sleeping. He slashed them. He went to his wife. He slashed his wife. He went to his
Mm,
mother. He slashed his mother.
mm.
Just one morning. So people wake up differently. And I believe what you are saying is true.
Well, what do you think caused him to do that? You think it was a mental health disorder or was it years of something?
I think it was a mental disorder because he was taken to court. It was confirmed he was having some mental disorder, brother.
You know what you just described happens a lot in America and Europe and the UK. I don't think a lot of people know that mental health is an issue all around the world. And the story you
True.
just described is not something most people would expect to hear from an African society. Most
Mhm.
people expect to hear that from, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can.
Yeah, I got a whole phone call. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? Or if you're watching this, you're the one who called me. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna send him the video too.
Yes, sure,
He
sure,
called
sure.
right away. But
Mm.
yeah, I think
So,
a lot of people don't realize. You expect it from like a 40-year-old living in America who hates their life and they just snap one
mm,
day, but it happens in Africa too, which lets me
mhm,
know the issue is not culture. Well, you can say it's a bit of culture, but it really is a human state of mind at this current time in history.
mm,
People have fallen far. People are stressed, unhappy. Society isn't run to make you happy. It's designed to make a profit for those in charge. And that
mm,
unfortunately takes away from the human experience. Most people aren't
mm,
happy. Africa, they don't
mm,
want to stay in Africa. In America, they don't want to stay in America. Everywhere you go, people are unhappy. It doesn't
mm,
matter which culture, which color, or which country. People are
mm,
universally unhappy more so now than ever because there's certain things being done in the world that don't consider the needs, the spiritual needs of a person. You know,
mm,
we live in a very unnatural system.
mm. So, so brother, why did you choose Tanzania? We have 54 countries in Africa. We have Egypt. We have South Africa to the south. We have Ghana. Actually, many African Americans are choosing Ghana. In fact, the 2019 year of return was a sure way of for you, brother, to go there. Why did you choose Tanzania? I can't help but think.
If I'm being honest, I didn't choose Tanzania at first.
Yeah.
I don't think I chose Tanzania at all. I looked at Ghana and then I decided that since it was 2020 when I was leaving, I said there's probably too many Americans there. And it's not that I have anything against America or Americans. I say it
Mhm,
all the time. I didn't leave America because I hated America. I'm one of
mhm.
the few African Americans that can say that. I don't have an issue with the place I come from. I don't have an issue with that. Most people do, which is the first
Let
mistake
me
you
ask you,
make.
sir.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Do you think people who are leaving America coming to Africa, they have issues back at America?
I think some of them have an issue universally. It's the
Mm.
same thing you can say with Africans who leave Africa to go to other places. They of course you
Yes.
have an issue where you're coming from if you're not staying there. Let's look
Mhm,
at it from a logical perspective. If you are leaving a place, the chances are it's not a guarantee, but the chances are something's not right in that place. It doesn't
mm,
have to be that something is wrong either. It just means you're
mm,
looking for more. For some people,
mm,
they're looking for more. They don't have an issue, but they're looking for more. For some
mm,
people, they had no issue, but something still led them to go. For others, they
mm,
have an actual issue and they want to leave that issue. At the
mm,
end of the day, there's a reason they moved, and we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that that reason was come to by a logical thought process. We can't
mhm,
judge why anybody left, and we can't judge why anybody's coming. We can only say
mhm,
they came and they left. A lot of people want to say, "Why are you leaving America?" And then we have to argue, "Why are you leaving Africa?" And then they say, "Well, aren't you being killed in America?" And we say, "Well, aren't you killing each other in Africa?" And then they say, it'll go back and forth forever because we have the
mm,
exact same issue.
mm,
The issue
mm,
we have all around the world is
mm,
universally the same. And it was
mm.
caused by the same people, funny enough, for the most part. But we're not attacking them, we're attacking us. Again, I have nothing against them either. All I'm saying is we have to love one another. We have to understand the reason we move. Sometimes there's a problem, sometimes there isn't, but we should still be loving and welcoming all around. You know?
Yeah.
I forgot the question.
Okay, okay. Just tell me why you left, why you didn't move to Ghana. Right now you're in Tanzania, you're not in Ghana. Just tell me
Yeah,
that reason.
I was actually looking at Ghana, and then I decided maybe there's too many African Americans there. Something told me I didn't want to be in a place where so many people were going. I wanted to go somewhere that people hadn't really heard of. And so I looked down at the Gambia because a video came up on YouTube at the time.
Yeah.
And there was this
Mm-hmm.
very funny lady. What was her name? Art Kathy. She was so funny. That woman was
Mm-hmm.
so funny. She was a bit harsh. I will say that. She had a stance that was not wrong, but it was wrongly put. And so, unfortunately, she hit a lot of people on the head with how she said things. But she wasn't wrong because she was
Who
way
is this
ahead in
woman?
terms of
Who
realizing
is
certain
she?
things about the place. Huh?
Yes. Who is
Yeah.
she?
I didn't really watch her that much. I just saw a video or two, and it was funny. The way she spoke was a very some people we have a comedic soul, a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so I saw that, and they called the Gambia the smiling coast of Africa. I said, I'm always smiling, so that must be where
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go.
Yes.
Something said no. And I said, I'm gonna go anyway. So I'm on the computer typing it in and getting the airline ticket. And right then and there, they closed their borders. I got a notification or something. News article, they're closing their borders for 90 days. Save myself
Mm.
some money. And
Yeah.
so something said, look to the east. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, okay, you know what? Uh oh, you have some comments, some live
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah. I will
something said,
read it
look
now.
to the east. And if I'm being
Yeah.
honest with you, I thought about going to Asia. I've always
Ah.
Africa wasn't
Which,
on my list. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was a kid, I was probably 12 years old. I made a list of places I wanted to go. The
mm-hmm.
first African country on that list came way later on the list because I
Yes.
always wanted to go somewhere else, like Asia. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Um, and India too. Funny enough. And so
Ah.
something looked to the east, I got excited. I said, "Oh, I gotta go to Asia." And then it said, "No,
Mm,
East Africa." I said, "What? East Africa? Nobody thinks of East Africa when you go to Africa. Nobody thinks of it."
mm. Yeah,
And so
no,
I
no, no,
looked at
yeah.
yeah, I looked at Kenya because it was, it's pretty popular. And then I said, "You know what? I don't think this is the place. It just seems too like people are going there."
Mm.
I don't know what it was at the time, but it was a feeling that I shouldn't go there. And I looked
So,
down, I saw Tanzania. I said, "I've never heard of Tanzania. I had never heard of it." Most people who have gone to Tanzania never
yeah.
heard of it because it's
So
not a popular country. People don't, I
let
mean,
me
yes, it's a tourist destination, but people don't hear about it that much.
okay, let me ask you something. So in Asia, okay, I watched some videos about Black lives experiences in Japan, in South Korea, and it's not that quite good. So didn't you research about this? Because Mark, when you're in Africa, because even your name says Mark meets Africa. When you're in Africa, can somebody tell that is a Black American? You blend in, you
Evan,
blend in so
Evan,
well.
let me say this. Sometimes that's not a good thing. And I'll
Mm.
tell you why. You make it sound like it's a good thing. Trust me, it can be a negative thing anywhere you go. I wasn't afraid of going to a place because I didn't look like the people, because I didn't grow up thinking to myself, I have to look like people to get along with them. My philosophy in life, my personal philosophy is go get along with people, be happy. And I've never had an issue interacting with any race of people throughout my whole life. Never,
Mhm.
never. I got pulled
Okay.
over one time. Well, no, I won't even get into that. That's another story for another day.
No, tell us, brother. Tell
I
us.
got pulled over once. I was driving a Jeep, what was it? A Jeep Grand Cherokee,
Yeah.
97. And I got pulled over. No paint, no license plate, no insurance, no registration, no permit, no nothing. I got pulled over, obviously. I was going to buy paint from Walmart because I wanted to paint it myself.
Yes.
Man, I got pulled over. Old cop, Caucasian man, comes up. He
Yes.
says, "Man, you ain't got nothing on your car. No plates, no nothing." I said, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been driving it." And
Uh-huh.
I don't know, he said, "You know what? You seem like a decent dude. Don't get caught a
Mm.
second time." And that was it. And
Mm.
so I know there's negative experiences in America with police and certain racial tensions, but at the end of the day, I can't put everybody in a group, even if it is the majority of one person. I'm not
Mm.
anti-black or anti-white or pro bliss or pro that. I'm pro good spirit. If you have a good spirit, I'm okay with you. If you're
Mm.
happy, joyful, peaceful, loving, kind person with a love for God, then I like you. Simple as
Mm.
that. Know them by the fruits they bear. Because if anything, my own people treated me the worst. I could tell you stories about that, but that's later in the journey.
Yeah.
I've had my own people that treated me terrible. Did I say I'm gonna finish building for my people? I don't like them anymore. No, I said it's not them, it's the spirit. It's the
Mm.
trauma. It's the things that they've been through. It's the environment they grew up in. It's by the grace of God that I didn't turn out like them. You know?
Mm.
On one hand, I will not excuse the behavior, but I will explain it. I will
Yeah.
not excuse the lying, the cheating, the extortion, the low morality, the thievery. I won't excuse any of that, but I'll explain it because they were born into a situation, most people in Africa, as well as in America, as well as in other places,
Mhm.
especially with this color of skin, we were born into a situation in which we weren't really shown a good example. We weren't given anything right. If you see a mother and father and sister and brother and auntie and uncle and grandmother and grandfather and aunt, stealing and lying and cheating,
Mhm.
you know, that's all
Mm.
you know. And it's very apparent in Africa. You
Mm.
know, that's all
Yeah, it
some
happens
people
a
know.
lot. Yeah.
They grew up. I've seen children in Africa are extremely simple in terms of the amount of things they learn. It's not
Mm.
as much as in the States where we're bombarded with information over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So some of it might be
Mm.
the right thing. Over here,
Mm.
it's just who you're around. That's all you are. You're a result of who you're around. If you're not
Mm.
around good people, you will not be a good person. Simple as that.
Mm.
Unless God
Mhm.
Himself separates you from the crowd you're in, which is rare. I'm
Okay, okay.
fortunate.
Let me bring this on.
Mhm.
So you told us that I've told you that blending is a good thing, but you've told me that blending is not a good thing, as I think. So would you mind shedding some light into that?
Yeah, okay. I'll get into that. That's a good point. I'm getting off topic. Blending is not always a good thing in Africa. There are certain
Mm.
situations where you will be treated worse because you look like the people here. It's no
Yeah.
secret that unfortunately in Africa, in many places, and I'm saying Africa generally speaking, but I do mean, I experienced it in Tanzania. I experienced it in Malawi. I experienced it in Uganda. I experienced it in Zambia. I experienced it in South Africa. I'm pretty sure it's an African wide thing because I've heard other people's stories too. It's no secret either. So don't come at me, y'all. Africans typically treat white people better. It's just a fact. Unfortunately, that is how it's set up. When you go to a restaurant, the service will be faster for a white person. When you go and do business, you might get treated better and with more favorable results as a white person, Asian, Chinese, Arabic, Indian, something. And it's not necessarily a prejudice thing. I think it's just because they're seen as having more resource. And in a society usually where people value money and they chase it and they idolize it, people with more money seem closer to what they call God. Bible tells you the love of money is the root of all evil. There's a deep and dark evil in this world, and it is the love of money. And so, unfortunately, some people's mind is stuck on I need money, I need resource, I need material wealth. And
Mm.
anybody that has it is godlike. And they typically
Mm.
come, they're nice, and they're very pleasant, bubbly personalities. And so, in the eyes of a person who has never seen that, they're good people. I have a friend, he's Jamaican. Yeah, I won't say him, but I have a friend who's
What are you
Jamaican.
hiding?
Nothing. I just don't like putting people's business out there, but I still like telling the story because it's a good reference for what I'm trying to say. He's
Okay, you can
Jamaican.
say.
He spent the first, I think, 11 or 12 years of his life in Jamaica. He explained this
Mm.
to me. He said the first good person he saw was a white person, a German man, when he was a kid
Mm.
playing around. He's 50 now. But he said when
Mhm.
he sees a white person come and he wants to interact with them, he's friendly to them, he's smiling, he buys them stuff. He
Mm.
looks at that and says, this person must be a good person. White people must be good people. Because as a
Mm.
child, that's how you see the world with
Mm.
real examples. So if you've only ever seen this group of people treat you well, and you've seen from your community lying and cheating and stealing and the most deplorable behavior, you've never seen your community do anything good for you.
Mm.
You're going to assume they're better than you. It's just an
Yeah.
automatic assumption. It's a child's
Mm.
logic puts that together. They must be
Mm.
better. You've never seen them do
Mm.
you wrong. So you can only
Mm.
go based on the experience you've had.
Mm.
So a lot of people's experience with white people has been pleasant in Africa. They haven't shown the other side of them. In my opinion, the issue is not white versus black, it's good people versus bad people. Unfortunately, you have good and bad in every race, in every color, in every country, in every culture, and everything.
Mhm.
But there's these generalizations that are put over certain groups of people. Like Africans see white people as good. I was in Uganda and somebody told me something that was very strange. I was in one of these neighborhoods. I had a driver and I said, you know what, let's go to your neighborhood, right? Because he said his family wanted to meet me. And so I
Mm.
went there. I'm buying everybody the sambusas they had because one lady was
Mhm.
cooking them on the side of the street. I said, "Give me all your sambusas," and she's like, "You're gonna eat all that?" I said, "No, we're gonna eat all that." So I
Mm.
called everybody and we started eating it.
Mm.
And I walked away. And as I'm walking with my driver, I said, I don't want to be insulting. Is it weird to give people this stuff? Are they going to feel some type of way? He said, no, because you're white. I'm not white, but they call me
Mhm.
white because my complexion is slightly lighter than theirs. He said,
Yeah.
because you're white, they assume white people have a good heart. He said, but if you were black like me, they wouldn't
Uh,
have accepted it
yeah.
because they
Mm.
would have wondered, what is your intention?
Mm.
This is not something you can make up. You will agree they do that in Kenya, they do that in Tanzania, they do that everywhere in Africa. And it's
Yeah.
because in their personal experience dealing with their brothers and sisters and neighbors and mothers and fathers, aunties and
Mhm.
uncles, they've been done wrong enough
Mhm.
times to the point where they have lost faith in themselves. The black hatred problem, the self hate problem, did not
Mhm.
come solely from white people. Part of it came from an inability and lack of doing each other right. It came from
Mm.
a problem we have towards morality towards one another. And
Mm.
because we refuse to do right by each other, we continue to fight and argue and debate, and we're jealous and we're envious and we're always trying to get over on each other because that's how we are towards each other. We don't
Mm.
like each other. And therefore, anything that does something slightly different is considered better. That's why Africans see white people as better, is because they haven't seen them lie or cheat or steal from them directly.
Mm.
It's not
Wow.
just, "I like your skin color." No, it's they
Mm.
treat me better and they seem nicer. That's the
Mm.
practical reason that they're considered better. I've heard it enough times, you can deny it all you want. I'm not saying you, but there are people who deny it, but there's so many of us that have woken up to the truth. It's about how you come off to people. So to answer your question, to bring it back to the point that was originally addressed, when you say blending in is a good thing, it can be, but sometimes it's not, because if you don't know the language and you blend in, people will assume you're ignoring them, which is a negative. They'll assume you're lying, which is a negative. They'll assume you're there for nefarious purposes, which is a negative. I've had it happen to people I know. They've been told, you know the language, Swahili, you know it, you know it, you know it. They're being yelled at for not understanding the language while looking at like the people.
Mm.
So you get treated with more suspicion because you look like them. And sometimes it's a good thing, but sometimes it's a bad thing. I must address the negative. Now, the
Mm.
positive is there as well. Sometimes you
Okay,
have an
okay.
easier process with certain things. You blend in, you might not get overcharged until you
Yeah.
open your mouth. Then you'll get overcharged for two
Okay.
reasons. One, they know you're not from there, or two, they think you're from there and you think you're better than them for speaking English. So you have two
Yes.
different ways of seeing it. Would you agree that some people are offended at the fact that you speak a different language than them while looking like them because they assume you actually understand them but choose not to speak the language? Isn't that a real issue?
Yeah, it is understandable and it happens.
All the time. When we come here and we look like
Mm.
them and we interact with them and they assume
Mm.
we're from here.
Mm.
And I've had somebody ask me, "Where are you from?" And I say, "America." He says, "No, you're not. You're from the Congo." And I say, "Why would you ask
Yes,
me and then tell
Congo.
me where
Uh-huh.
you think I'm from?" Or they'll say, I had just in Uganda, I had somebody say, "Are you from Burkina Faso?" I said, "Now, do I look
Mm.
like I speak French?"
Mhm.
It's like it's the strangest thing. On one hand, you look like the people, so they'll mistake you for one of them, which is not bad. But then on another hand, people just assume you're not from where you say you are from, which is
Mm.
a lie. They're calling you a liar. That's a
Mm.
real issue in Africa, is a
Mm.
suspicion for anything that looks like them. This is an issue that needs to be addressed because some
Mm.
people can't handle that. Others, they don't notice it, but when they notice it, it hurts them because it's
Mm.
like being called a liar for being who you are.
Mm.
I've been in situations where I've seen people yelled at for not speaking the local language when they genuinely don't know it.
All right, brother. Let's move to the second one.
Okay.
So, okay, just to cut it short, uh, what was the main what motivated the decision to move to Tanzania? Was it the idea many African Americans were not coming to Tanzania? Because from the conversation, I can deduct that Mark meets Africa loves a space where we don't have a majority of something. Because you don't want to follow the wide road. It leads to destruction. You want to follow the narrow path. So what really motivated you to choose Tanzania?
It was a feeling, man. I can't say it was anything more.
Mm. So that's it.
That was about it. I couldn't put it on. I'd never heard of Tanzania. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, man, I love my people and I love Africans.
Mm.
That's why I do what I do now.
Mm.
And I'll put it like that. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
I
it's okay,
believe in
brother.
unity, love,
Mm.
peace, joy. I believe in we have to come together. There's people that promote hatred, anger, separation, darkness, destruction, and they call themselves religious, a lot of them. They say God is peace and love and joy, and those are the fruits of his spirit, and yet they can't practice them. which tells you that
Mm.
you must know them by their fruits. They don't produce good fruits. No
True, true.
longer will I be pressured into hating people. I had people try to do that to me at one point. They tried to pressure me into hating specific groups of people simply for the fact that they didn't like them. I won't be so small-minded. You can't make me hate Africans, and you can't you can't make me hate other groups. I'll take you as you come and see you how you present yourself, and with the help of discernment, I'll know who
Mm.
you are. It's a lazy argument to say I don't like them just because of blank, 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 blank. And yes, there's a history behind it, but there's also a history of us doing wrong to us.
Mm.
Am I to judge my people at the same standard I judge others for the simple fact that they've done the same thing? No.
Mm.
There's terrible people in all groups. Simple as that. If you want to
So,
call it the narrow path, it's not a physical location. The narrow path is not a physical location. It is a thinking process. It's a thought process that allows you to free yourself from mass produced ideology. That's the narrow path. It's I don't choose left or right. I choose truth. I choose righteousness. I choose
mhm.
centered and balanced ideologies.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that because they're consumed by hatred. They're full of it. They're full of hate. They're full of anger. They're full of hurt. They're full of sadness. It's hard to make a good decision when your mind is constantly being clouded by dark spirits. Most people are not influenced by anything good.
We are speaking from a perspective that makes me want to ask you, do you consider yourself an optimist or a pessimist?
Neither. There's a third option, and it's called realism. And I'd hardly I'm a realist, man. I see it for what it is as best as I can. Optimism, look at it like this. In
Yeah.
order for an outlet to work, in order for a battery to work, positive, negative, you need both. And then you need a ground too, a neutral. It's a
Yes.
balance. Everything in life is a balance. Anything that brings you out of a state of balance is probably trying to deceive you, even if the ideology sounds good. Balance is what you need because God is not left or right. God is in the center. He's balanced. He's truth. Truth is not, I think this or I think that, or this extreme or that extreme. If you want to know God, look around and look at his creation and see what he was trying to tell you. The diversity of his creation and the scale of it tells you that he is somebody that exists in all things. You have
Mhm.
to acknowledge him in all things. You have to see him in all things. You have to expose yourself to him. Cutting off a large majority of his creation for the simple fact that you don't like it is like saying, I don't want to take the lesson you have for me. God will send
Mhm.
you 10 negative people to test your patience and 5 negative people to teach you something. And I can go on and on. But a lot of people refuse to take the lesson in life.
Mm.
If we stop looking at people as this person hurt me, because at one point I did that. I said, these Africans hurt me and my own people. But then I stopped seeing the people and started seeing spirit in them.
Wait,
I'm being honest with you. It's the
let me ask
spirit.
you.
They say
Let
hurt
me ask
people
you,
hurt
Brother
people.
Mark. Let me ask you
Mhm.
this. You are saying at some point you felt like Africans hurt you. Yeah, I understand. Wait. Let me read the comments. Hello, Evans. Hello, Sister Golden Heart. Hello, Mark. Mark, someone is saying hi. You can say hi
I see
back.
some of the comments.
Yes. I want to visit, but I am. I'm seeing some flags here. I don't know. We have Chinese flag. I don't know
Russia
the other
and China.
flag. Yeah, it seems so. We have Golden Heart. Yeah, she's saying you're very intelligent. No doubt to that. Okay, Shanmira is saying groupthink
Somebody said, Mark said
Is in
Africans
Africa.
think he's Chinese. I've had people call me Chinese. That's how I know they don't know. You know, Jesus came to this earth, and if we go by the story, it says, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. When I heard somebody say Chinese, I said, they really don't know who's coming into their countries. They're not aware.
Mhm.
They haven't been exposed. How can I expect someone to know what I am when they haven't even seen anything
Okay,
besides what
okay.
they've seen all day, all their life, I
I
mean?
think I think I can say that, the Chinese have been coming to Africa lately. They've been coming to Africa now because they're used to seeing those people with, they have kind of small eyes. So They come, and then another guy comes with small eyes. So they associate the small eyes with being Chinese. Yeah.
But there's 100 other factors you have to look at: skin color, hair texture, facial
Yes.
features. A lot of
Yes.
things go into it. But that's why you
Mm.
can't be mad at them. There was a point where I started saying they're not doing this on purpose. They genuinely don't know. And you think you get offended by it, but you can't get mad at someone who doesn't know, you
Mm.
know? Golden Heart says, I know it hurts me when they call me white. It hurts us. You know why? Because we
Mm-hmm.
have a rich history. African Americans specifically, we take pride in being who we are. When you come and call somebody something they're not, then you essentially invalidate their entire experience as what they are. That's like you're a
Mm.
Kenyan and you go to Ghana and they start calling you South African, but you're proud to be a Kenyan. You're going to be
Mm.
offended, man. So when we're African American and we like to be called what we are, and somebody calls us something else and won't stop calling it us that, it's going to be hurtful. Because on one hand, if you say it mistakenly, we understand. It's just ignorance. You don't know.
Okay, okay.
But when you
Let,
continue,
let me ask you something here.
mhm.
Who is a foundational Black American? Because I've heard you say African Americans quite a number of times. So we have people like Floyd Mayweather. He said that we should not call him African American. We should call him Floyd Mayweather. And if we can't call him that, we should call him Black American. So who
Can
is a
I ask you
foundation?
something? Can I ask
Okay.
you something? Do you
Mm.
follow Floyd Mayweather or do you follow what your spirit tells you?
I don't follow Floyd Mayweather, but I'm not saying this because I have cognitive dissonance. I don't have any dissonance. I just want to hear your opinion and to know who is the real Black person. Is he an African American or is he a foundational Black American? I would
To
love to
be
hear
honest
from
with
you.
you, I started this off by saying I don't associate with labels. Because the moment a definition of a label changes, so does your perception or the perception of you. If
Mm.
one day Pan African means person who loves his community and the next day it means terrorist, guess what? You're a terrorist and you didn't do anything different than what you would normally do. I don't put a label on because it's a lazy way to live.
Yeah.
When you say Floyd Mayweather and all that, I don't even follow that. I hardly follow politics. Most of what you see is designed to make you angry or sad or afraid, or I don't want that in my spirit. Just like
Mm.
you eat with your mouth, your soul eats with the eyes and the ears. So what you see and hear really does affect you. And you are what you eat. If all you eat is things that make you angry or debate, a debating person,
Mm.
make you afraid, and that's what you'll eventually become.
Yeah.
I don't watch that stuff. I'm not interested in that stuff. I'm not going to say it's not important, and I'm not going to say anything about the people who do. But me
Mm.
personally, I am who I am, and I don't want to call it anything really. I'm just
Mm.
what you see me as, and let it be that. We're so pressured to put a label on because society wants you to. But you also
Mm.
have to remember society was made by people who don't care about you. They're designed to make you fight and debate about you being this and them being this and that being that and this being that, so that you never have peace and unity. When we separate ourselves with a label of I'm this and I'm that and I'm African American, but I'm Black American and I'm this American and I'm that American. At the end of the day, we have to eventually adopt a human identity. And the human
Mm.
identity says, I'm a person. And these are the
Mm.
basic human concepts of peace, love, joy. And then you can call the people that don't operate on a system of love something else. That way we
Mm.
simplify it down to good folk and not so good folk, you know?
Mm.
Because I don't know. I say there's a lot of craziness in all groups at this point.
Mm. All right, brother. All right, brother. So how has your experience in Tanzania differed from your expectation when you first arrived?
I don't think I expected much. I used to say when in my old videos, I used to say, don't expect anything when you come to Africa. Because when your expectations aren't met with reality, you're going to be disappointed. I didn't expect much coming. I just came, enjoyed myself for the first 9 months. I didn't have an issue. I got around my people and started hearing their problems, and things started changing. And yeah, there was issues, but I overcame them, and now I'm still here. I've traveled around and came back. God has a way of putting you where He wants you to be. He didn't make a
Mm.
mistake, and He will never send you to a place just so you can fail. Sometimes we have to
Mm,
learn a lesson. I didn't have the experience of dealing with people that I didn't like because I could always find a way to like a person. And so God put in my path people that I wouldn't like so that I could learn how to deal with people I didn't like. And so I take it as a wonderful and beautiful lesson. How to
mm,
deal with people that want to hurt you, how to deal with people that want to steal from you, lie to you, cheat you, and still love
mm.
after that, still be happy, still be peaceful. What you are should not affect what I am. And therefore, you can be you and I can be me. I don't have to look down on you and you don't have to look up to me, you know?
Brother Mark, how long have you been in Tanzania?
Off and on for 3 years, man.
Mm. So what's the highest in a single span? How long have you? Because you said you come and you leave. So when was the how long was the time you stayed for a long time?
Probably 9 months, man. Yeah. That
Like
was my
from
first, but when I was first there, when I was first there.
mm. So do you enjoy everything? I can tell you really love the place, brother.
Um,
Why are you smiling?
I don't know about that one. At the end of the day, I'm not going to a place solely because I like it.
Mm,
If something in my spirit tells me to be in a place, I'll be there.
mm,
Because God doesn't make mistakes. He'll put you in a place that you don't like. With all
mm.
that's happened to me here, you know?
You know, you know, even the Son of God said this. The Son of God said, Father, take away this cup away from me. And then years back, there was a guy named Jonah. Jonah was sent to a very sinful city of Nineveh. And for God being who God is and human being human is, they had a question with God's policy. How does God want to save Nineveh, a city of sin? Those people should perish because those people are killing prophets and committing sin. So Jonah did not listen, but he tried to move east. He found himself going to Nineveh. So have you been in that situation where you've said, God, take away this cup from me? or have you been in a situation where you've said, no, I'm not going. But then you forcefully came back. There's a lot I can tell by how you've answered that question about whether you like Tanzania.
To be honest with you, I won't say I asked for the cup to be taken away. There were moments where I said, why would you send me to a place like this? You know, with
Mm.
so much dysfunction and darkness. And it's not
Yes.
to say where I come from didn't have dysfunction and darkness, but I wasn't affected by it in a way that was direct. And so, in my personal experience, I experienced that here. I said, why would you send me to a place like this? And the answer came back, and it was a phone call I had with my mom. And somewhere in that phone call, the conclusion was drawn that God doesn't send the light to a place that already has light. You know,
Mm.
when you're sent to go do the work, as some of us are, a lot of us are really,
Mm.
you have to go do it. Simple as that. And so every time I leave, I'm drawn back here, whether I like the place or not. It's not that I hate Tanzania. Mm-mm.
Mm.
But when a place has given you so much heartache, it's hard to look at it the same way. I was on a journey to love a place, dislike it strongly, and then come back to loving it. So I could understand it better, you know?
Mm.
And understand how other people were experiencing it. Because when I heard the first complaint from an African American about Tanzania, I didn't believe it. I said, that's not true. That's not how these people are. And then I started seeing it more and more and more and more and more with more people. And I said, man, maybe this place is how it is. And I had to acknowledge it for what it was. I went from
Yeah.
an optimist to a
Mhm.
pessimist, now to a
Mm.
realist. It's
Yeah.
called balance. At the end of the day, we can't be too positive about a place. You shouldn't be so quick to jump on the defense of a place that wasn't made for your good. There's too
Mm.
many people that will defend a place or defend a culture or defend a community or defend a government or whatever
Yes.
because people don't actually look at right and wrong anymore. They just look
Mm.
at what seems the most like them, and that's why nothing ever changes, I believe.
Mm.
So yeah, what was the question? It's late
All
over here. What
right.
was the question?
All right, brother Mark. That's very good to know. However, mm, brother Mark, who
Yeah.
is an African?
Who
Who
is an
is an
African?
African? Yes,
What do you define African as?
me.
Yeah.
My definition might differ from yours.
Well, tell me
And
yours if you don't mind.
you know, I came to discover one thing. You see, those things which seem the simple, those things are always the most complex. As question, somebody might say, okay, Africa is somebody who lives in Africa. But this question is rooted from we had we've had countries such as Tunisia, we've had countries such as Morocco. They are in this huge landmass called Africa, but they don't consider themselves Africans. So is an African a person who has the black skin, or is an African somebody who accepts they're African? I might say today I'm not African, and I can even go to the court and bring facts and everything. As me, I think an African is somebody who lives within the 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 boundaries of this huge landmass, and they've been born here, their parents were born here, and everything here. I don't think an African is somebody who has a black skin only. Maybe myself here, who I'm talking, maybe my parents were from Polynesia. Maybe my forefathers were the aboriginals of Australia and New Zealand, and they reached Madagascar, they sailed, they reached East Africa, and here is Evans. So I'm always having a conflict with who is an African.
I think you're answering your own question. And
No,
I
no,
think
no.
the
Give me
answer,
yours. Give me yours.
okay, I'll give it to you in the form of an analogy. If you took a lion, a giraffe, and an elephant from Africa and let them breed for 400 years in a different environment in America, Europe, China, wherever, would they still be a lion, a giraffe, and an elephant, or would they be a different species of animal?
It as okay, as long as there's no crossbreeding, it's just going to be the same animal. A mother horse, or whichever the animal you've said. If I take a pair of them and move them to whichever landmass, if they give birth, they'll give birth to the same. But why are people in Morocco saying they're not? Why are not even Morocco itself? Even Somalia itself, they're saying they're not Africans. I've watched such videos. Let
Doesn't
me
that
bring it
sound
very
like a
close.
problem with you didn't even describe African Americans in that issue. You described other Africans. Whether they call themselves a lion or a bear when they get to a new place is up to them. But again, I want you to answer the question. If you took a lion and a pair of lions and they gave birth to another lion in America, would that baby lion still be a lion or would it be a different animal?
It's still a lion.
Okay, so if you took an African out of Africa and you gave birth 400 years of birth in another land, would they still be an African?
Still an African.
So there's the answer to your question. The difference is
Mm.
there is a difference though, because if you took a lion out of its environment and it gave birth and there were 400 generations or 400 years worth of generations of that lion in the new
Mhm.
place, you know that lion would actually behave differently. I mean, by
Yes.
nature, it would still be a lion. By biology, it would still be a lion. But because of the environment it's in, the lion wouldn't hunt the same because it'd be hunting different animals. It wouldn't
Mm.
live the same lifestyle it would if it was in Africa because the environment it grew up in is different.
Mm.
Biologically, it will always be a lion. But
Mm.
in terms of what it does and how it lives and maybe even what it ate. See, a lion in
Mm.
Africa can eat a zebra, but a lion in America couldn't eat a zebra. They might eat an elk. So if you released a bunch of lions into the wilderness in America, they'd start eating elk. So they
Mm,
would be different in the sense of how they live, but they wouldn't be different animals. So it's
mm,
the way that's happened historically with us. Africans were taken from Africa or sold, whichever way you want to look at it,
mm,
and or a combination, really. And
mhm,
because they were put in a different environment, they had to adapt a different way. That's just natural. You have different trees and different air and different soil and different food and different everything and different culture. You're going to be a little different.
mm,
Biologically, genetically, you will always be the thing you started as. That's just how it
mm,
works. You can't
mm,
go and see a person is different because they spent 400 years away. Because again, if you, an African, went to America and walked into a zoo and saw a lion in a cage, you would say, that's a lion and it comes from Africa. You wouldn't say,
mm,
I didn't know America had lions. You wouldn't say that. Do you know why people say that, though, about African Americans? Because again,
mm.
you take pride in the fact that the lion, a ferocious beast, comes from Africa. You take pride because people look at the lion as a very, very powerful creature.
Mm. Really
But
different.
what you
Okay.
don't take pride in is African American. So you wouldn't claim them. You would claim the lion because it's something to be seen as a prize. So, oh,
Mm.
look at that lion. You know where that came from? Africa. Yeah, we got plenty of those. That's how people think. The things they're
Okay.
proud of, they adapt. You look at football. I don't watch sports, but in football,
Yes.
there was one of these
I also
players.
don't watch sports. I also don't watch sports. I don't find anything interesting there.
Well,
I
well,
just
there was a football player, and
yeah. Huh?
he was, I don't know his name, but I think people will know the story. He did something
Mm,
wrong, and they went from calling him French to African. See, when
mm.
you're somebody doing well in the world, when you're a high
Yeah.
status or when you have a title of authority or whatever, people want to
Mm,
claim you.
mm,
But when you're seen as the bottom of the barrel, nobody wants you. So Africa doesn't want to claim African Americans because they don't see them as good people. They don't like them sometimes. Overall, I'm not saying all of them. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying, but
mm,
they don't claim them, some of them, because they do not appreciate them. It's just like African Americans won't claim to be African because they don't look at, when you think of Africa, you don't think of good things typically. This is not something I believe, but this is a fact for most people. If I went to America right now and walked down the street and said, what do you think of Africa to 100 people? I bet 95% of those answers would be negative. That's just the truth, man. Until
mm,
we change the idea of where we come from and what we are and how we're represented, we are not going to be respected, both Africans and Afro diaspora,
mm,
ancestral diaspora.
mm,
So until we improve our image in the world, we're not going to be proud to claim one another. On one hand, we look at Africans and we say they're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing. And on another hand, you look at us and say they're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing. So it sounds like we both dislike one another because we don't want to be associated with something negative.
mm,
So again, if we were a positive thing, if African Americans were the top of the world, if they were the most powerful people in America, the most politically savvy people, the most influential, the most, well received, Africa would be all over it. They would be claiming us. They'd be saying, wow, those are, they're Africans, right? They originated here. That's what people do
mm.
when they like someone or when they're trying to claim them. But
Okay.
in the other way around,
I have this question. So, do you think Africans should pay reparations to African Americans? Because, Brother Mark, I don't know how you think of this, but it's true. Some of our ancestors sold out some of your ancestors to those slave masters. You see, the slave master was not coming into villages. He didn't know the topography. He needed some knowledge of the topography. Whoever was offering this knowledge was the Africans. They know each corners. So Africans were betraying other Africans. And African Americans became bitter, brother. You became bitter. And
Can I
so
ask you something?
right now you are demanding for reparation. Do you think it's a just cause?
I'm going to answer in two parts. Number one, I'll
Yeah.
start by saying, in the eyes of God, one thing he hates and sees as an abomination is a brother that sows discord amongst his other brothers. He hates it.
Mm.
In his eyes, that is an abomination. And that's what we
True.
do to each other. And on another hand, we shouldn't be having this conversation. We talked about this yesterday. We shouldn't even
Oh,
be having this discussion yet. Our people are not in political positions to even be having this conversation. There is no argument to be made on either side. If I say, yes, I think you should pay out reparations, or if I said, no, I don't think you should pay out reparations, who on this good green earth gave me the authority to even make that possible? We're not in positions
okay.
of power or influence or status, nor are we savvy in business enough to even come up with a committee that could make that possible. So why are we talking about stage 10 when we should be talking about stage 1?
Do you know why I brought that up? Do you know why I brought that up, brother?
Hmm.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, sure.
Let me tell you. So there is no forgiveness of sin without the shedding of blood. You're much aware of that, right? In order for even God Himself forgive us, we always have to accept we're sinful. That is one way of repentance, and not even one way, that is the first step of repentance. So even God Himself say, if I am having beef, if I'm having a problem with the Mark meets Africa, I I no matter how much I'm going to give God, He tells me to leave it there and come to you. I make things right with you first, Mark. It's called a restoration. So restorations for what Africans did to African Americans can be a way of reparation. I want you to
Wait,
to to
wait, wait a
just
second.
just wait. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. You know, if you talk, will break my chain of
Okay,
thought.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, so one way of restoration can be by this reparation, acknowledging it happened this way and that way. Reparations does not have to be about money. I think it should be about acknowledgement. Because, brother, the other day I made a video about the president of Uganda, where you've been. Where were you in Uganda, by the way? Which
Where?
city?
All
Yes,
over, man.
all over Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay. So Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he apologized before African Americans. He said, "I'm sorry for selling you people to slavery." That is the president who said that. The president is not much different from us. We are still the same in the eyes of the Lord. But if a head of a state comes first and says, "We are sorry," reparations does not have to be about money, does not have to be about material things. It's a matter of accepting we are at fault because, brother, I am at fault. I carry that blood of betrayal in me. You see, I don't know which grandfather, but one of them betrayed your grandfather. And I to make things right with you, Mark, I need to apologize and say we are sorry and everything is on that. That is the way I want you to look at it, in a way of restoration.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think,
Mhm.
okay, on a personal level, I'm not looking for any of that. You're in the political sphere. You're looking at the overall picture. And I think honestly, it's just another point for us to debate on. And I don't mean us as in you and I on this live. I mean as a group. We're always looking for reasons to debate. I think you make a good point. People should acknowledge the wrong of the past. I do believe that. So I'll say in regards to how you put reparations, yeah, there should be some level of reparations in the spiritual sense. Now, if you want to talk about the physical sense of reparations, I think that's another topic. Because I mean, there's a lot of wrong that's been done in history, and
Okay,
a lot of groups too.
I think we should just let the dust settle on these matters of reparations because it's so big. I can sense it's so big. What do you think? I'm saying it's so big. We should just let the rust settle.
Well, let me ask you something. You're
Yes.
asking me a question on behalf of Africa. Let's assume I represent African Americans, though I don't. Let's just assume theoretically, and you represent Africa. You're asking me, as someone who has just admitted that you've wronged me, it's like,
Mhm.
Evan,
Yes.
I know I've wronged you. Do you think I should apologize to you? Does that sound right?
I
If you
think.
can recognize the wrong, then before you ask the person who you've wronged, you should give them that apology. It shouldn't be a two-part discussion if you recognize the wrong. Now, the discussion should be if you don't recognize the wrong, but it sounds like you and many people recognize the wrong done. So you can't ask the person who you've wronged if you should apologize. You just do it.
Mhm. I am
So
doing it. I have been doing it.
then there's no question to be had. I think for the next person, you should say something like, "Hey, man, we did you wrong. Sorry." It shouldn't be a question because it's condescending to a lot of people to say, "I know we've wronged you, but do you think we should tell you we wronged you?" It really doesn't sound good, man.
Mhm.
If you ask the person you've wronged if they deserve an apology for what has historically been an atrocity, let's not call it anything else. You know?
Mhm.
Let's not call it anything else. You
It was
can't
so bad.
you guys have to if you really want somebody to feel loved and feel like they're ready to forgive, make the first move. Don't let it be a
Mhm.
debate. Before we even ask, you should already say it. I'm not asking because I don't want anybody to tell me something that doesn't come from their heart genuinely. I don't want to bring the topic up for you to say, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. If it doesn't come from your heart, I don't want it. If the reparation argument needs to be made, then that says one side acknowledges that they've wronged you and they refuse to admit that they've wronged you, but they acknowledge they did. That's demonic. I'm sorry to say it.
Mhm.
So that's the argument that needs to be made now is how do we make up for what we've done to these people without asking them if we wronged them? You know what I mean?
I get you. I get you. Let's move to the next one. So, what challenges did you face during your transition to life in Tanzania, and how did you overcome these challenges?
Uh I had
There
a
has
good
been
time
a
the
challenge,
first 9 months, man. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty seamless. There was a little culture shock, but it was really nice. At the time, the people were so open and loving and kind, and I think when their leader died, they changed. I'm not gonna lie, I think that's part of what happened because there was a friendliness in this country that is no longer here. There's a darkness over this land. People have rejected God out of their hearts. The peace, the love, the joy, gone. So
By leader, you mean the former president?
I do.
Okay. Could you name at least two things that you regard as challenges?
Challenges then or challenges now?
Mm. You can't name them.
No, no, no. I'm asking you, are you talking about back then challenges or challenges now? Because they change. I don't have the same challenges I did when I came there. Right?
Yes, brother. Yes. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Based on the question, it was about transition. So it's about back then.
Well, I'd say that the biggest challenge was probably hmm,
Mhm.
that's a hard one, really. I'd say yeah, I'd say it has to be the mentality of I can't see you as a person outside of what you can give me. This is a big issue we face when we come here sometimes, and other people say it as well, especially Africans who have left Africa and come back. They all have the same complaint. You are not seen as a person, you are seen as a resource. Humanity is a big problem in Africa. I saw just the other day, I could probably pull it up on this phone. Somebody was beaten to death on the street. They pulled his pants off. A grown man, they took his pants off. Children, women, elderly people were watching. Tore this man's pants off and beat him up because he stole the equivalent of $40.
$40.
The equivalent of
Okay.
killed this man. When you want to talk about humanity, that's not humanity. Africans have a very unique problem in that they are not allowed to express themselves in a way that is healthy. And so they have to repress all their anger, all their sadness, all their worries, all their doubts, and they have to keep that bottled up. Their society, their governments, their culture does not allow them to speak negatively about anything. So they're forced to accept everything as fact and everything as right and everything wrong is right. And that stays inside of them. So they're very passive aggressive when it comes down to how they express their anger. When somebody in their society messes up, they kill them. And it's not because the person stole $40, it's because everybody's angry and there's no other outlet. So the moment somebody messes up, that's the way they can pose as righteous and how dare this person do this when all of them are doing it. Most people cheating, lying, stealing. The same shopkeeper that cheats people every day is gonna stone the sinner who stole. The same person that robbed their neighbor just last week is going to fight the person that stole the money. It's like the story of Jesus where he, you know, saw this woman and said, "Let the person here who hasn't sinned throw the first stone." All of them were doing something. So for them to hurt this person for the fact that she was caught doing it makes no sense. That's what I saw just a few days ago, and I've seen it a few times here. It's the lack of humanity in Africa is a huge problem. I've had situations where I've dealt with police here, no humanity. If you don't give these people what they want, you are less than dirt. You are the devil to some of them. You're laughing,
So
but you know it's true. You've
no,
dealt with it.
no, I'm not laughing at whatever is happening. I'm laughing at the fact because I know it's really true. But I'm not laughing at the person, just as you said. So
Look,
is this
somebody named
thing
Golden Heart made a comment. When I went to the Gambia, my friend told me that scamming is their culture. They are raised to be like that. This is why Jesus said, "Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do." He genuinely knew, because he's not a liar, that people were born into the darkness they live in. They have never had an example, some of them, on how to be a good person. The mother, liar, cheater, thief. The father, liar, cheater, thief. Grandparents, lying, cheating, thieving. Uncles, aunties, lying, cheating, thief. Brothers and sisters, neighbors, all of them lying, cheating, thieving. It's an issue nobody wants to address because it makes us look bad. We in the Black
mm,
community in America have a very similar problem. We were born into the shit we live in. So for
mhm,
us to come at each other because of the situation we had no control over is wrong. We
mm,
should be looking at the person who put us in the situation instead of fighting one another. That's ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous things we can do. You have the same problem as us. Are you lying and cheating and stealing? I'll ask you.
no,
Why?
why would you do that?
No, I'm asking you personally, not your culture. You. Are you doing it? No. Why?
It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong.
But you know that. Some people don't. As crazy as that sounds, I used to think that didn't make any sense. I said everybody knows right and wrong. Some people don't. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because and here's the thing though. Let me make the argument from a love perspective. I could say the reason there's so much wrong is because people don't know they're doing wrong and they need to be told. Or I can say they're just evil. You want me to
Mm.
call Africans evil or do you want me to say they don't know? One is ignorant, the other is evil. Both are wrong, but one is worse. Which one do you think they should be called?
You know, who should get more punishment is somebody who knows they are doing wrong, but they're just doing it. But ignorance of the law is not something should not be something that should be a ticket for you to do wrong things and go without being punished. The scale of punishment, if I were the judge, is what differs here.
I think before punishment comes with the case of ignorance, a teaching has to come.
Mm.
Some people just need to be shown a better way. Imagine growing up in a society where you have to lie, you have to cheat, you have to. I've had people tell me when I was in Uganda, Uganda's not that different from Tanzania. And I had a woman tell me about her family, and she was being very
Mm.
honest with me. She said if I tried to do anything praying to God, talking about Jesus, they laughed at her. They mocked
Mm.
her because they
Mm.
believed in worshiping in her village it was some spirit they worship.
Mm.
It was demonic. So when she tried to do something different, the culture came down on her. How do
Mm.
you overcome culture unless you really are able to cut people off? And you can't do that when you need to be with people to survive,
Mm.
right? You don't have a job, you can't work. So in a way, you're almost forced to participate in the wrong you see. I'm trying to be
Mm.
understanding. I don't want to make an excuse for them, but I have to explain it in a way where I don't see them as monsters, you
Mm.
know?
Mm.
So I think a lot of people are kind of sort of they know right and wrong. I won't say they fully don't, but I don't think it's practical for most people to do right in this environment. Because the person who does right is going to lose a lot. The person who does right is going to be treated badly. The person who does right is going to miss out on much. They might lose opportunity because people
Mm.
trust untrustworthy people more than right people because they're afraid the right people are going to call them on their crap.
Mm.
So in a way,
It's,
they're not practical doing
it's
right in
true.
a society like that. They need a system created in which they can do right and not be persecuted for it.
Mm. So I'm going to ask you about. Thank you, Brother Mark, for telling us about the sharing with us the points about wrong and right. Sometimes, as easy as it may seem, morality can be something people find it hard because one thing can be right in Uganda, another thing can be wrong in Tanzania. You see, but there's always that thing. We can't say it's ignorance. We have the absolute morality. Absolute morality is something that is always there. No matter where you go, killing is not acceptable. Burning someone over $40 is not right in all countries in the whole world. So somebody who overrides this law and says, no, I'm going to kill them, that's not right. It's not a matter of ignorance or what. We are born with that morality in ourselves. We don't need to go to have education and know this is wrong, this is right. Stealing, killing, prostitution, adultery, all these are wrong. You see, even your heart will always try and send you some signals to warn you. But some people will never listen. They'll override it and they 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 proceed. You see? So the
But
point
those
you're
are
giving.
culture.
Hmm?
Those are culture. Are you saying that the culture in most of Africa is evil?
No, it's equal, equal. I said
Evil.
equal,
No, no, no. I'm
equal.
saying is the culture because what you're describing is culture. And you
Yeah.
said that morality is something everybody knows, but if the culture says it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal, and people adhere to their culture and defend it, because the moment you say something about Africa, the first thing they say is that's my culture,
Ah,
proudly. So are you
okay.
saying people are proud to do wrong as a culture?
Mhm.
Because that's what it sounds
Um,
like to me.
no, no,
Clarify
no,
for
no,
me.
no. I didn't say that. I
I'm
didn't
asking.
say that. Okay, you are asking, okay. I'll answer you with this. Before I started, I said that two stems, two, of finding where the truth is. We have that which is called subjective morality. Something might be right in Tanzania, something might be wrong. The same thing, if you do it in Uganda, it's wrong, it's illegal. It's sin. It can be even a sin which is categorized as a crime, as a crime. But then we have that thing which is called absolute or objective morality. No matter where you go, it will always be there. You see,
Mm-hmm.
Africans can be evil. If Africans can be evil, I believe everyone can be evil because many people kill, everyone kills. There's no, you don't have to wear a black skin for you to commit murder. You don't need to live in this big mass of land for you to commit murder. You don't need to live in this big mass for you to steal. People have been also even cheated where? In the USA, in Australia, in Europe. People are cheating. In fact, in large scales, they're doing it outside there. However, when we say things about Africa, we develop some kind of stereotypes because the other day I was watching a video by a very prominent YouTuber. I was disappointed by what I saw, or rather what I heard. He
Who was
tried
it?
and eh?
Who was it, if you don't mind?
No. I don't want to call the name. But
Okay.
if you follow, if, if you follow the breadcrumbs, you'll reach the target. So he said that African is a place of, you see, when you get there, people will always try and rob you. People will always try and steal from you. He was painting Africa in a bad way. But when I looked at the guy, he is looking like me. He is everything like me. You see, somebody qualified to be my father. He's saying Africa is nasty and Africa is this and that. I'm like, brother, you don't say that. Brother Mark, people work hard here in Africa. People work hard. We don't just steal from other people. We don't just do this and that. These are stereotypes that were built by the West. The West multiplied and they amplified. What's
Okay.
this?
I wanted to ask you something
All right.
because it sounds like you may not know why he said that. Do you think there's a chance? And I'm asking you, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm genuinely asking. Do you think there's a chance he came here, experienced negativity, and then made his decision?
Mm-hmm.
Because for you to say
Well,
don't say that is like saying don't speak the truth you've experienced. Why hide the wrong if
give
that's
me,
what happened to him?
give me, give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. What is this, Brother Mark?
It's a toy car.
This one. It's a toy car. This one, it has different parts. We have the tires, we have the bumper, we have this, we have the lower part. If I remove one single tire from this, how important is that tire to the car? If I just move it, let it be independent. Let's say you are walking and you find a tire. How will it help you? Okay, I remove another tire, place it away. How will it help you? You see, when we look at these small pieces, we look at the small pieces all around. It does not make sense. You see, this person was identifying parts, but not the whole thing. Parts. You see, even in the earth we have night and we have day. This person was talking in a way that the earth is always darkness. It is always darkness. You see, he was not showing this thing in the totality of reality. Everything makes sense. If I bring these different parts and mold them, it's when I see the bigger picture. So there was a significance of that darkness for this to happen. You see, Brother Mark, I have never robbed someone. I have never scammed someone. I have never insulted my elders. I've never done that. I might have been angry to my parents. I might have done other sin. But there are things like stealing. I've never stolen. I have never robbed someone. I have never scammed someone. Me. And I am an African. I can have a very strong argument if I'm having that guy. I'm telling no, you are placing Africans as a bad thing. You see, if you come to Africa and some people robbed you, it's not like the whole country came to you and they robbed you. No. In fact,
Evan, Evan,
yeah.
he said the majority. He didn't say all. He did
No, no,
say
no,
the
no, no.
majority.
Even saying the majority is not a right thing to say. Saying the
Evan,
majority is not a right thing to
you
say.
believe in the Bible and you believe in God. What does the Bible tell you about the world? It says the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can truly know it? Most people are evil, and most people are sinful, and most people are the ones that he was talking about. It's a rare thing. You may not rob, you may not steal, you may not lie, but that doesn't mean your neighbors aren't. You don't know how they live. Just because they're from where you're from doesn't mean you guys operate on the same idea. You can't say because you don't rob, nobody around you robs, or the majority don't. In our experience as African Americans and foreigners coming from abroad, we experience in our daily life the majority of people we meet are negative towards us. That's why he said that. And at first I thought, what is he trying to do? Discourage? I saw that video. I said, why is he trying to discourage people from coming here? That's what I said. I said, why is he trying to discourage people from coming here? And I said,
You
it's anger. Wait a second.
you saw it. You also saw it. You saw it.
Yeah, I did. But there's a balance that needs to happen here.
Mm.
Acknowledge the wrong. You talk about apologizing for what happened in the past. Why not apologize for what's happening now? I'm sorry that this is something that happens frequently in this country, because it does. He didn't lie when he said most people want to cheat you and most people want to lie to you and most people want to steal for you. That's true in America. Most people want to do that. It doesn't matter if you look like them or not. You've never had a bad family member. For you to say he looks like your father and that's the reason he shouldn't be saying that is not enough, because some people have a terrible father and a terrible sister and a terrible brother and a terrible mother and a terrible family. Don't make them right. So when you say that he's not allowed to say what he experienced, it's not fair, because he's only speaking about what he experienced. And a lot of us have complained about the same thing. Maybe you're not robbing and maybe you're not cheating and maybe you're not lying, but there's too many people that are. And in our experience, the majority of people, I have people that message me and say, every day I have to fight. Every day I have to argue about a price. Every day I have to struggle to get the truth out of people. That's their experience on a daily basis while in Africa. And therefore, that's how they perceive Africa. You can only go based on what you've experienced, right? And so if
Mhm.
they've experienced negativity, that's what they're speaking about. You look at the pattern in most people who come to Africa, the first few videos are like, wow, this place is great. Oh, the air is so fresh. And wait until the next few videos. They're going to say, oh, some things don't work. And then a few more videos. Oh, they're lying and cheating and stealing. And then the next few videos, all of these people are da 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 da, because it gets to a point where you start seeing it. When people have been there a while, that man has traveled through enough countries to recognize a pattern in behavior. You know? I thought he was discouraging people from coming. I was actually angry, or not angry. I was a bit upset looking at that video. I said, "Man, if our
Mm.
goal is to get people to come here, then why on earth would you tell them it's impossible to do anything here?" That's where I disagree. When you make people fear, I believe the solution should have been avoid X, Y, and Z. Don't do
Mm.
this. Make sure you're looking out for this. Yes, some people will try to scam you, but here's how you avoid it. You give them the way to avoid it. Don't just say you're going to run into problems and then let them do the rest in their mind. Some people are on the fence, and he just took them off the fence and made them not want to come. You can't discourage people because you've had a bad experience. I do understand that, but you should educate people on how to have a better experience.
Yeah.
So I agree with you in the sense that he shouldn't just bring Africa down. I'm not someone who defends my people just because they're my people. I don't care about if you're my people or not. Truth is truth. I'm not going to pick culture over truth. I choose God over everything. I don't care, family, friends, call me crazy, but I'll choose truth over everything. If I know it, then I'm going to say it. You can't go ahead and oh, it's my culture. Now I'm going to defend it. And even though you know there's wrong, you know they steal, you know they cheat, you know they lie, you know this. So don't act surprised when somebody says I'm offended by what they've done to me, and you know this is a thing they do. You can say I'm not a part of that problem, and I'd like to be a part of the solution. Just like I can say I'm not a part of the African American problem, but I'd love to be a part of the solution. There's a new
It's
breed of people that needs to occur, and those are the people who do not adhere to historical, uh, what is it called? Groups, labels. Be something new. Stop adapting a culture that isn't working. I will say that about my culture. African American culture is sometimes toxic. You can say about African culture, it's sometimes toxic. Don't defend something that's evil. You just said the lying, the cheating, the stealing. You can't defend that and ignore the evil just because it's your culture. No, build a new culture. Oh, but that's history. That's my tradition. I don't care about
okay.
tradition. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Let me ask you, if something is wrong, it's wrong. But the way, okay, let's even do away with the video. You see, overgeneralization is a big problem because I've had people who wants to come to Africa, like the same way you get phone calls, it might be different. Maybe you get more, I get less, or maybe the other way. I just don't know. But I know one thing. I get phone calls, I get text, different people always asking how they can move to this country, always asking how they can come here and retire, grow with their family, have farms, start businesses. As a Kenyan, I'm always trying as hard as I can. I just don't know everything, but I always try hard to the limits of my knowledge to try and fix where I can. You see, when someone stumbles on such kind of information, it disrupts them. It destroys the equilibrium in their mind, and they're wobbling. They're like, I'm not going there because so and so said. So and so has not met Evans. So and so has not met my spouse. So and so has not met my mom. So and so has not met, does not even have to be my family. I know a number of people. I know a community. I know people. I know a community where you go, you'll be robbed. A community where you go, you won't be robbed. And these things don't exist only in Africa. These things exist even outside Africa. You see, Mark, this man was saying the truth. There's a reason I showed you this thing. This thing has different parts, and each part has its function when it's fixed together to build this thing. This thing is just nothing with its parts, each part scattered. It makes no sense. This person was dismantling all these parts and putting them away. This car even has the exhaust. It removes toxic gases, but it's part of the car, Brother Mark. It's part of it. But this exhaust is not even the bigger percentage, is not what makes this thing be what it is. You see, Africa is a good place. And I always advocate for people to come to Africa. I always talk to people, come to Africa, come and enjoy the motherland, because there's a lot which Africa can offer than which Africa can take from you. I know, Brother Mark, when I say I know, for real, I know, I have seen, I have lived here since I was born. My family has never robbed anyone of anything. Not that person that I've heard of. Maybe before I was born, there was somebody who robbed somebody, but never have I ever. Even in Kenya, we have Kenyans robbing other Kenyans' land. A Kenyan is robbing another Kenyan land. Even the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of the first president, was robbed. He was scammed of land by fellow
Hold on.
Africans. Hmm?
Have you ever been robbed in your country?
Yeah, I have been robbed. Yes,
How many times?
twice.
Twice. And how
Once I
many
was
years
attacked.
apart? How many years apart?
Mhm. First was at
Okay. Okay.
3 years apart. 3 years apart.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm 27.
In 27 years, you've been robbed twice?
Okay, what qualifies to be called robbed? I think it's
Let's
twice.
say let's say
I'll
you've done business with a person and they
mm,
cheat you out of all your money
it's twice.
twice.
Okay.
So let's say not the physical, hey, give me your money, like somebody's robbing you with a knife, but stolen from you in business. So in 27 years, that's happened to you
No,
twice?
in business, no, I've been conned. I've been
Con.
conned my
Con.
friend.
Let's say conned. How many times have you been conned? Twice?
Once. I've
Once
been
in
conned
27
once.
years. What do
Yes.
you feel after that?
What did I?
What did you feel after that?
I felt unimaginable anger.
Whoa.
I can't speak that.
Unimaginable. That's a strong term. Unimaginable anger?
I thought
Why?
of crazy things. Yeah.
Yeah. Why were you so angry, man?
I was conned. I was
What
conned.
can you explain what the con was?
I can try and explain because I remember even the person very well. First of all, this person exploited a weakness inside me. In order for me to get conned, he exploited a weakness. You see, when you are greedy or when you are selfish, the mouse, let's say the rats. Here in Africa, we have these mouse traps. Have you seen them? Do you have one
Yes.
in your house?
No, I don't have any, but I've seen them.
Now, you see, when I take grains or when I take butter or when I take beef or when I take beef and I place them on this thing, I place them there and I place that trap, the mouse will never see the trap. It will always be focused on the food. You see, the trap is an obvious construction which is there. You can even I can see that's a trap, but the mouse never sees that. It only sees the food. It goes the food, tap, it's caught. That is how I was caught. So this person told me he was going to give me a job, and because I was jobless, I'm just from high school. I'm doing my first year at Kenyatta University. I need money. There is Corona and all that. So this guy came and he told me I can offer you a job. I need you to type for me a book. I want to write a philosophical book on altruism. Do you know the philosophy of altruism? He wanted me to
Oh,
write some books.
altruism. Yeah.
Yes.
I
The
thought you
art of
said
giving.
treason.
So when he told me to write this book, I'm so excited. He told me I'll be paying you 1,000 Kenya shillings per day. 1,000 Kenya shillings is like how much is that? Let me say $7. No, $7. Yeah. $7. Yeah,
Is
$7.
it 70?
Huh?
Is okay, $7.
Yes, it is $7, which is right now the USD is 150 against the Kenya shillings, maybe 155. So I was so excited, you know. When we were going with the bus, he told me, "Hey, brother, what do you have?" Told him, "I'm having here a Nokia phone. I just bought that Nokia. It was not long ago." I showed him. He looked at it. So I had this smartwatch on my hand, and he told me, "Hey, can I have a look at your smartwatch?" He plugged it out of my hand and he put it on his. Yeah, I told him, "Yeah, the smartphone also has. It can measure your heartbeat. It can take phone calls." I told him all the features. Not only I didn't know I was marketing myself to this thief, so I didn't even notice that he did not return the what how is it called? The smartwatch.
Smartwatch.
Yes. So we are on the bus, this matatu. We are in a place called Kariobangi. We are going to Nairobi CBD, which is Nairobi CBD is the CBD of Nairobi. Yeah. So we are moving. So we've gone to this cyber cave. He went to the website and he opened this book by, is it called The Art of War? It was the first time I was having a first look at The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Have you read some of these? I don't like following that because it's full of lies and deception and all that. Do you know how it is? The Art of War. Have you read it?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it and I've seen parables of it. I get the
Yes,
concept.
yes. Yeah, the big concepts, the big idea, which it's like the main topic, deception. It's about deceiving your enemy and being smart, but it's about deception, deception, deception. So he was showing me these things. So he showed me like I wanted to write this and that. Okay, to cut the long story short, he tried to scam me at the cyber cave where he told me, okay, my phone is out of power. Give me your phone. I make payments. I'm coming back. I told him, no, let's go and make payment together. So we went and made payment together. After that, he told me, brother, are you hungry? You know, if you're working, you need to have eaten something. I told him, okay, do as you wish. So I followed him to some restaurant in town. It's called Papaya Restaurant. So we got there and we went inside and the menu was brought. I've forgotten. So while moving from the cyber cave to the Papaya Restaurant, he started telling me stories about airport deals, construction deals, business deals. He was talking about 200,000, 300,000. How much is somebody, he has a tender for 300,000. You see, somebody cannot talk of such huge amount when it does not show in themselves. I understand we have simple people who are simple by nature, but there was something off about this guy I couldn't see. First of all, his teeth were so brown. Okay, that we have people with brown teeth. We have people,
I didn't expect you to say that. He said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please continue.
we
Wow.
have we have people with brown teeth, but this guy, that was dirty. That was not caused by his family. It was just dirty, and I didn't notice that the clothes he was wearing. I didn't notice they were so faded, and the trouser he was putting on. It seems he washed it. I don't know when, but he was just okay. Now he was putting some spectacles. You see these ones, and the shoes he was wearing. I could I couldn't see that. You see, I'm not despising somebody who is has been brown teeth, bad shirt, and everything. Even the even the phone he had, it was closed by rubber band. Do you know the rubber band?
Yeah.
It was covered by rubber band, the brown which women put on their head. It was covered by rubber band. I was blind to all this. I couldn't see all that obvious construction. I couldn't see. I was just looking at that 1,000 per day. That is what I was looking at. So we moved there and we went straight to the Papaya restaurant. At the Papaya restaurant, the menu was brought. You see, my parents told me this, Evans, when you are invited to someone's house, do not eat more than that person is offering. Do not eat
Mm.
more. That is what my dad used to take me to these rich people's houses and would tell me, eat kidogo, kula kidogo. I was still young. I was like 7 years. I can still remember. He was telling me kula kidogo, and the table was very full with all kinds of food. But I would just have even a one small cup of tea and a sandwich. That was enough. Now, when I'm at the restaurant, I was told that if somebody is inviting you for the restaurant, don't take more than they are taking. He told me, okay, here we have the menu. I want you to choose what you want. Eat well. The guy is telling me that to eat well. I'm like, oh, you want me to eat well? I asked him, what are you taking? You see, what are you taking? The guy took China mandazi. You know China mandazi, right? You don't know China mandazi, but
No.
you know
What?
mandazi. Do you know
Yeah,
mandazi?
I do know what that is.
Okay, do you know chai?
Oh, I thought you said China. I said,
No,
whoa. I thought, yeah, I know what you mean.
chai,
Yeah,
chai.
tea, basically tea and bread, tea
Yes,
and
yes,
bun.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he took China mandazi and he was telling me to have things like chicken, things like meat, pork. you know, all things were there. I'm like, oh, you see, I still didn't see why is he taking China mandazi and he's telling me to take the chickens and all that. I said no, no, bring me China mandazi also, and that is what was brought. You see, so this guy, what he did, he told me that as you're taking tea, I want to go and make some payment, but you can see my phone is out of power. Can you remove your line? Can you help me? Your phone is. I insert my line. I go and make the payment through M-Pesa. Do you have M-Pesa in Tanzania?
Yeah.
M-Pesa is in Tanzania.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I didn't know. So he was going to pay that nini with M-Pesa. I gave him my phone and he went with it. I waited. I waited. I'm like, I'm taking tea. Something told me, wait, why is he not coming back? When I went there at where we have the reception, where you make the payment, I found out that there is a fire exit to where you make the payment. There's a fire exit. This person, when I gave him the phone, he used the fire exit and he escaped and ran away. So I'm here seated with bills to pay. I even don't have even 1 shilling to pay for this mandazi and chai. Mine and his, because I was with him. So the bills, the waiter, the waitress came, she brought the bills and she placed it on the table. Ah, it was around 300 shillings. But Mark, I don't have nothing to pay. I was in a very, very bad situation. I borrowed a phone from someone who was close by. Trying to call my other number, the guy is not picking. Trying to call his number, the guy is not picking. That is when I knew I was conned. I had bills to pay or utensils to wash. And plus that, my smartphone was gone and my smartwatch was also gone. The reason why I always say that person succeeded with all he was doing, I was greedy, and I'm saying it consciously. I was greedy. I just was focusing on the money that was to be offered. That is why I felt victim, and it only happened only once, never again. Mm.
So I'm glad you told me that story because now you can understand the pain
Mm.
you experienced, in your words, unimaginable anger in that moment because somebody stole your phone, stole your watch, left you with a bill, scammed you, made you look like a fool in a restaurant full of people at that. You experienced that once in 27 years. What do you think that feels like if you experience that 3 times a week for 5 months in Africa? What do you what do you imagine the feeling that person would have if they got their phone stolen, they got robbed, their house got broken into, all within the same week? They got scammed at a restaurant, had to pay more. They got lied to at the store, and they know they're getting lied to. They got cheated in the taxi. They got cheated in the next taxi. They got treated badly, right? For telling people they were cheating them. They got cheated at the clothing store. They got cheated at the next restaurant. They got cheated at the market. They got cheated by the neighbor. They got cheated by the friend. They bought some land from a taxi driver. He cheated them. They tried to do business with a friend. He cheated them. They tried to do business with their neighbor. He cheated them. They tried to do business with somebody they met. Maybe they watched YouTube with them. He cheated them. What do you think that must feel like for a person to be cheated multiple times in a short period of time? You've experienced it once in 27 years. And there's people that experience what you just described almost every day in Africa as a foreigner. And you're from here, which means you recognize it, or you should recognize it. We may not. What do you think some of us would feel getting cheated twice in a day, multiple times a day? How do you
It's
think we
really
would
bad.
feel if you, as a person from here, experienced unimaginable anger? How do you think we would feel when we thought we were going to do business and, unify and be loved on by the people who look just like us? And we thought we were going to be treated fairly because you look just like us. And we thought we were going to be loved and because you look just like us. And then you cheat or you lie or you steal one after
I'm
another,
gonna feel
after
bad.
another.
I'm gonna feel really bad.
No, Evan. You said you felt unimaginable anger. How do you think we feel? Because now it has to be beyond unimaginable anger. The amount of patience the man who made that video expressed is ridiculous. He's a military man. He expressed patience, understanding, restraint, because what he could have said was much worse. What any of us could have said was much worse. If you experienced unimaginable anger and it happened once, how do you think a person would express themselves if it happened multiple times in a short period of time, not 27 years once or twice, in 27 days? You know, it wouldn't even be imaginable how angry they would be. It would be off the scales, especially if those people sold everything they had in America. That would be
Yeah.
the worst pain in the world, to go to a place and trust and love just because you think they look like you, only for them to show you that they don't really see you as a brother or a sister, that they would lie and cheat and steal from you. Not just one, not just two, not just three, but it kept on happening. The reason you can say that you know there's good people is because you've seen the good people. We haven't. Most of us haven't run into many good people.
Have
It's
you?
experience. I'm
Have
not
you?
most people. I've run into plenty of great people, and I tell people
Mhm.
about good people, but most people, again, you have to be fair and understand their experience may not be your experience. You may
Mm.
not have run into a scammer every day, but they have. And you have to realize money attracts scammers. When they see you and hear the accent and see the gold chain and see the watch, they want it. You may not attract them because they see you and they say, "Oh, he's one of us. He might know what we're doing." But to a person who's never been here, is alone, doesn't understand the culture, may not understand the language, and looks like they have a hope for unification in their eyes, because it's a look you have in your eyes. And they see that because they're operating under a demonic force, most of these people, because what they're doing is wrong. They see that hope in your eyes and they go after it. Their goal is to take away your peace, your love, and your joy. And that's what they sometimes succeed in doing with some of us. And we go back. And because we're full of anger and hatred and, you know, frustration after that, we go and say terrible things, but it's not because we're lying. We just really are frustrated. Because
Mm.
sometimes people don't care. They say that's the culture. This is Tanzania. That's what they say here a lot. This is Tanzania. This is Uganda. This is Zambia. And they're proud of the darkness in their culture. That's why God tells you you can be in the world, but you can't be of the world. You cannot adapt culture if you love God. That means if your entire family is doing wrong and you say you love God, you don't choose them. As hard as that sounds. Most people couldn't make that decision because they don't love God. To love God is to love the fruits of his spirit. To love God is to love his ways. That's a big decision. Some people couldn't make it if they tried because in their heart, they love the world. They truly, truly, truly love the world.
Do not
The
do
devil will
not
use
love.
your family. The devil will use
Mm.
your neighbor. The devil will use your children. You think he has a limit?
No.
So that person that was probably the devil in disguise came up to you, your own brother, your own countryman. He didn't care with his brown teeth. He didn't care. So if he could do you wrong, what do you think he would do to us? If he could wrong
And
his own brother, do you think he'll treat a stranger any better?
mhm.
He won't.
All right, all right.
So again, just try to be understand. All I say, and I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't have that right. But all I'm saying is try to be understanding towards us. Just think about what we've experienced that made us get to that point. Especially if you see a person who's not normally negative become negative. And you see, like, we're fighting a battle when we're in Africa. Every day it's a battle to get the right price on anything,
You
to get
know,
the truth.
look, one advice I should tell African Americans, even right now, equip yourself with a local, someone you can trust. Don't trust your own self before even you
Evan,
move to a country. Find
Evan,
someone you can trust. Yeah.
it's that local that usually gets over on the person. That's what I've heard, and that's what I've seen. It's almost always when I hear these African Americans, you get calls, I get calls. I get lots of calls, a lot of them. I was on the phone all day today, and that's what I hear from people. I trusted this person. I sent them all this money, and they ran off. It's almost always the local. It's almost, Evans, I'm not lying to you, man. I can only tell you the experience of other people as well as my own. It's almost always the local they trust. So
Brother,
you
Africa is a better place than other people are putting it. There's a lot of good in
Evan,
Africa.
there's a lot of good. I'm gonna agree with you there. There's a lot of good, but do you know what? It's covered by a layer of not so good things. You know, gold tarnishes, right? Sometimes you gotta rub the tarnish off before you can see the gold. You know, there's too much dirt on the bar of gold that is Africa. Africa is a bar of gold, but there's too much dirt on it. People are not, they look at it and they say, "Oh, Africa's so good." It is, but you got to sometimes polish good things up. You could have a Lamborghini, a good car, and you know what? If that car is covered in dirt and rocks and it's got a cracked window, nobody's gonna say, "Wow, what a nice car." Nice things sometimes need to be polished. Africa is nice, but it needs a polishing. The tarnish that is these dark people, the dark mentality of people, that has to go. Otherwise, Africa will never be the beautiful thing that it is. Because look, somebody made a comment saying, no, it's not. Do you know what that person really means? They're not saying, when you said Africa is a good thing, they said, no, it's not. That's anger because that's how hurt that person was by Africa. When you can say no and deny what you said, people are denying what you said, some of them, because you can't tell somebody who's had a negative experience that what they experienced wasn't what they experienced, right? If somebody robbed you and stabbed you and you were on the ground, would you want somebody to walk up to you and say, "You're not bleeding"? No, you would want somebody to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Don't cover up the garbage. Pick it up."
You know,
You may not be one of the people doing wrong, but there are many people doing wrong.
I'm not saying myself, and myself, I am not righteous. I'm very far from being righteous. I
Did
I
you say
sometimes
I didn't hear
I'm
you.
very,
Did you say racist?
no, righteous, righteous.
Oh, righteous. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not racist to know. Why would they say racist to know? Righteous in any way whatsoever. But I think it's not only me, myself, you know? You see, if our brothers and sisters want to come here, we have to tell the message of hope. We have to give the message of truth. Truth should move along with hope. You see, it should not be just negative. You said the other time that he should have made it in such a way that finding solutions to these problems instead of just pointing fingers, Africa this, Africa that. Because even myself, if I take myself to USA and I was stabbed in New York. Are you coming from New York?
No, I'm from Las Vegas.
Okay, I'm working in Las Vegas. Where you come from? Las Vegas, I hear is they say what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas, right?
I guess so.
Now, if I see nasty things happening there, and maybe I'm stabbed while walking, doing my shopping, should I come back to Africa, telling Africans to not go to USA? USA is dirty, of immoral people. They have this space called Las Vegas where nasty things happen. I should go there and say, hey, I had a bad luck, and my bad luck brought me to this. My bad luck brought me to being stabbed. My bad luck brought me to going to some casino where I lost all my money. That is what I should say. I shouldn't say that, don't go to USA, this and that. I should say, no, no, no. When you go to USA, be cautious, do this and this. These are not problems of Africa only. These are problems of the whole world. It shouldn't be Africa only, it should be the whole world. I'm getting your point, brother. We should have harmony in this. The harmony should be brought by this. We should understand Africa is just like any other country. You said you wanted to go to Southeast Asia. If the same guy went to Southeast Asia and something nasty happened, you'd give the same message. I believe you'd still get the same phone calls from Southeast Asia. My experience in Las Vegas as Evans from Kenya should not define everyone else's experience or other people who wants to go. I should be giving them hope and telling them I just stumbled upon bad luck. It shouldn't be the whole narrative. No, 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 no. Mm. That's it.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Mm.
That's a bit a bit optimistic, I'll say. But again, you did say truth, and that was his truth in his experience. Hope is something that can eventually dry up. And for a lot of people, their hope dries up. It'd be nice for a lot of the good Africans to help keep that hope alive. But when we get into trouble, they're nowhere to be found. So Evan in Kenya may not be doing the wrong, but John down the street wronged me. And I'm targeted. Now, if you ran into bad luck is random for the most part. Being targeted is an entirely different thing. If somebody came up to you in Las Vegas and said, he's an African, let's make sure we stab him. And then you walk down the street and another person said, he's an African. Let's make sure we stab him. And you walk down the street some more and another person said it. Wouldn't you start to recognize a pattern?
Yeah.
You.
Because I'm African.
Oh, so because we're African Americans, we keep getting taken advantage of. It's a pattern. It's not bad luck. It's intentional. That's why people are hurt because we don't like being picked out for the simple fact that we come from a different place. That's why there's an issue. It goes far beyond somebody with bad luck. It's beyond that. Yes, sometimes it is bad luck, and I do believe we need to keep hope. But hope is hard to keep alive in a place where there is no life support for that hope. Hope needs nourishment, really.
Mm.
Hope, faith, eventually, I'm looking at some of these comments. I think people don't understand one another. You
Mm.
know, you have Africans that get mad because people are upset at the wrong they do. And you have
Mm.
African Americans who do the same thing in America. People who put responsibility on them get upset. The issue is responsibility and accountability. African Americans do not like, at large, being accountable for their actions, and neither do Africans, it seems.
Mm.
Because instead of saying, I'm sorry there's so many people who want to lie and cheat and steal from you, they
Mhm.
say you shouldn't be here. And on one hand, there's a middle ground to be had. You
Mm.
shouldn't be targeted for coming to a place simply because
You're perceived to
you're,
have money.
yeah, it's not bad luck, man. That's prejudice. That's whatever you want to call it. It's opportunist.
Okay, let's talk about the stereotypes and misconceptions about Africa. The first one would be, have you encountered stereotypes or misconception about Africa during your time in Tanzania? And then
What
what follow will be, have you encountered stereotypes or misconception about Africa during your time in Tanzania? If so, how have you addressed or challenged these stereotypes and misconceptions?
what do you could you specify a stereotype?
A stereotype with all sense of the word,
Now,
something that
okay.
people believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think everybody has. That's like
Mm.
me saying, have you encountered a stereotype when dealing with African Americans?
No, no, I'm asking you.
Yeah, but I'm giving an example as well. Okay, well then I'll answer. Let me put it like this. Of course,
Mhm.
stereotypes exist for a reason. They're not
Mm.
completely inaccurate. Do I think everybody falls under a category of a stereotype? No, because that's small-minded. So, yeah, I encountered stereotypes. People say there's starving children in Africa, and I've went to places where there were starving children. People say there's sickness and disease. I've encountered that. Sickness and disease. Does it mean that's the whole place? No. But am I going to say it's not here? No. Stereotypes exist for a reason, right? They're not completely false. That's like saying African Americans are loud people, angry, bitter people. That's a stereotype that applies to some people. Does it apply to everybody? No. Again, I'd rather not generalize people based on the fact that there's a stereotype about them. When I see it, I encounter it and I acknowledge it and I see it as what it is. That's why you can't invalidate other people's experience. You have people, Africans, who will get angry at you for telling the truth. That's dangerous. You have Americans who will get angry at you for telling the truth. The world is moving into a place where the truth will not be well received. And the Bible tells you in the last days, people will hate the truth because they're so polarized. The devil comes to steal, kill, destroy, and divide and conquer. So how do you divide people? You give them different things and different names and different titles and different countries and different, I don't
Mm.
ascribe to that system, man. You're not going to get me to sit here and hate one group based on a stereotype. I'm going to acknowledge it as the truth when I notice it, but I'm not going to go and fall into some trap to think one way about people
Mm.
because the stereotype exists, man. Come on,
Mm.
man. When you ask a question like that, it really does sound. It's like, what is the purpose of asking that question? Have you encountered a stereotype in Africa?
Okay, okay,
Obviously.
okay. Let me put, let me dilute the situation right now. Have you ever heard of an argument between Job and God, where there's this young man called Eliphaz, and Eliphaz just let Bildad, Zophar, and the other guy to provide counsel, but they were darkening counsel without knowledge. And even Job himself was putting himself in a position where he felt he can question God, but God is not answerable to humans, Brother Mark. And so God himself leaves heaven. He comes in form of a cloud and thunder. He settles and he asks one question. The first thing he says, who is darkening counsel without knowledge? You see? You see, Job was saying these things, these beautiful things about himself, how righteous he is. He did not deserve the punishment. And he was putting God in a position where God was feeling guilty for being God. God can do anything with anyone, you see? Job had stereotypes about God. That is the way I try and look at it. I know you're surprised, Brother Mark,
I'm not
but it's
surprised,
true.
Evan. I'm trying to tell
I'm
you,
coming. I'm
I
coming
don't.
for you. I'm coming. I'm coming somewhere. I'm coming somewhere. See, stereotypes are things which are there. Even whatever that guy said, or the guy we've been talking about, all that is stereotype. And when people hear of that, the stereotypes are being confirmed. You see, even myself, I have stereotypes about the United States. But is my stereotype true? Is it true? Is it the whole truth? Job had these stereotypes. He started developing these stereotypes. So I want you, I want you to just try and calm down and look at the bright side. That will help you a lot. Look at the bright side of things. Stereotypes can be a way of making our visions even clearer because you'll be trying to defy, to deny that this is what people say about this one. No, I have to find something different to prove people wrong. See, this is what people say about Africa. I'm going to look for that thing if it's there. In the other side of the country, let's say northern Tanzania, northeast Tanzania, you might see it's kind of dry. But when you look on this other side, it's wet. It's cool and wet. You see, the other side is hot and dry. So you are only told we have people who are hungry, people who are suffering. But did you look at this other side also? And
Evan,
what amount of that side are they showing in proportion to this other side? You know, we should weigh them. A small thing should not define the bigger thing. Yeah. That is where the
Evan,
stereotypes come in.
Evan,
Sorry for interrupting you.
Evan, what you just described makes the argument that he was saying more accurate. If the majority of people's experience is that stereotype, then you've confirmed the stereotype. That's why you don't look for stereotypes. You look at things as they are. I feel like you're arguing from a place of us versus them and you
No, no, no.
versus me. Not you specifically, but I'll generalize. I'll say when I see a lot of this African American versus Africa content, I see it as both sides refuse to change. Either side refuses to change and either side refuses to acknowledge wrong. Both sides are wrong. It's the truth they hate. It's the truth because they're so full of hatred and anger and bitterness and an adherence to their culture that they will not let go. They will be destroyed for that. That's what the problem is. And now I see it a little bit clearer. People don't want to acknowledge the truth. It's about you said this about me and they said this about me, and I'm not going to change or acknowledge any truth in what you said on either side. But I'm going to get upset at the fact that this is interesting to me. I'm not saying in this conversation, but I see it as the overall issue I'm noticing is either side is wrong. Both sides do not want to acknowledge where they go wrong. People don't want to change. So it's almost like defending the wrong with saying, but look, this isn't that bad. Instead of saying, let's change the wrong, we say, oh, look, some of it's not bad. Evan, there are wrong things. It should be that we want to come together and change it. It's not Black America versus Africa. It's I want to do right versus I want to do wrong. The group of I want to do right is not African American and it's not African. It's I have a mindset to want to do right. That doesn't involve a color. You can be black, white, blue, green, yellow, or purple to want to do right. It's a
Mhm.
mindset because it's spiritual. Everything starts in the spirit. Those who have a similar mindset need to come together and make a change because the rest of the people are stuck in their ways. They will not change because they're too busy defending the wrong that they're a part of. They've identified so strongly with the culture they come from that they cannot change. Some people will never change. They're so proud to be this or this or this or that American or African or Kenyan or Tanzanian. They're so proud to be.
Okay. With regards to what you've said,
People
I
don't
was
want
not,
to change.
I was, I was not trying to say to ignore the wrong things happening on the other side and say, hey, let's close our eyes to the other side. Let's open our eyes to the good side. No, we have to acknowledge. What I was saying is that the wrong thing should not be the general defining factor for everything. That small thing you've seen should not define everything. The same way, according to you, I'll turn it around. The good things should not define everything. The good and the bad should define everything, according to you. But me, what I'm saying, I'm leaning more on the positive, on the optimistic side. But you're leaning more on the realistic side, as you said, and as I'm discovering. So it's true, brother. It's true. From my experience here in Nairobi, here in Kenya, what I've heard, what I've seen a lot of things in Africa, more than you have. I'm talking from experience. You've seen a lot of things in USA. I've never been to USA myself, but you've been on both sides. But there is some authority I have while saying things about Africa. I've been brought with some culture. I have relatives in Uganda. My grandfather was having this big shop in Kampala before Idi Amin came out and pushed them away. I still have family in Uganda. My great grandmother is a Anyarwanda. She comes all the way from Rwanda. So I'm having mixed DNA along the way. East Africa, my DNA is scattered along East Africa, but it's okay. Now, that small thing should not define the whole thing. That small negative part If I see bad thing in Las Vegas, I won't say the whole USA. No, 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 no. I will try and ignore that. I'll say I saw the waterfalls, I saw the desert, I saw the Statue of Liberty. You see, I saw the Manhattan place. I went to Nevada. I saw this and that. I'll talk highly of United States of America in a way that when I come back to Africa, people will want to come to USA. You see? I remember there's a time you told me about, even if you're telling the truth, find a way to put this truth in a way that it does not hurt anyone. I think a little putting these words into practice might really help. Yeah. What do
Well,
you
that's
think?
what I try to do personally. I can't make my philosophy other people's. And you know how that is when you try to change other people. They become self-righteous because nobody wants to be told that they're right. I mean that they're wrong. Everybody is right in their own mind. If you don't mind me asking, what is your goal for doing what you do? Why do you have this YouTube channel?
Why do you ask that?
It's a question because if we're to get to a solution of understanding one another's perspectives, then we must understand one another's perceived goals. What is
I,
your goal? What
I,
do
I
you
would
hope to
have to.
achieve?
Actually, I don't have a goal. I just have an aim. I'm aiming at something. I don't have a goal.
What are you aiming at?
I'm thinking of it as some kind of process. You see, I've grown up seeing how Africans, we worship African Americans. No, not African Americans, but Americans, the white people. They would come to our school, people would rejoice and all that. I've seen how the Chinese have mistreated Africans in their own country. I've seen how I was denied access to a particular building, which is a public building, because it was late. But when a white person came, they were allowed. I've seen where I wanted to shoot a video, I was denied. When I came there the following day, I saw a group of white people shooting a video there. I've seen how much Africans are underprivileged in Africa itself, you see? And I thought, no, maybe we are doing this because we betrayed ourselves. You know, it all started with the slave trade. It does not have to be the slave trade that took place in Ghana. Yeah. It can be the slave trade that took place in East Africa, which is not much talking. People don't talk much about it. It was called the Indian Ocean trade. People don't talk a lot about it. It's close to be going extinct. If we Africans would acknowledge that we did some wrong back then, and whatever we're experiencing right now is a punishment or is a consequence of what we did back there. If we can try and acknowledge and try and ask for forgiveness. And where are you going?
I don't
Upotea.
know if it was mine. Looks like my network's good. I can still
Mine is
hear
also
you.
good. Mine was good.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
microphone has changed volume though, so I'm not sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little lower than it was before though. Could just be a
Okay,
kink in the
let's.
network.
Right. My volume is full.
Okay, well, let's just continue.
I'm really sorry the interview has really extended to 2 hours, 18 minutes.
Yeah, it's okay. For me, it looks like it's 50 seconds now, so I guess it reset.
Right. So I'm doing this channel to try and rectify the wrongs our ancestors did. I know I was not there. I just want us Africans to come back together and enjoy our homeland. That is what I want. I just want to see Africans back together, even you African
If
Americans.
if you don't mind me asking you then, we spoke about this before.
Mhm.
You said your goal is to bring us back together. Why are
Mhm.
some of your titles so offensive? If you had an issue with the video that Go Black made about how he
You decided
experienced
to question.
Africa,
Uh-huh.
why
Mhm.
would you do the same thing even before he made the video? It doesn't
Yeah.
look unifying to say such things about people. And again, we spoke about you can tell the truth, but you must do it in a way that is not offensive.
Mhm. Okay.
Why
The
would you
thing
say
is,
your goal is to unite Africa if
Mhm.
you don't seem to want to do it in a way that's gentle? Because that's what love is. You know, the Bible tells you love covers a multitude of sins. That's why when you see us African Americans, we have issues. I'm not going to deny that, nor will I cover it up. We know you have issues, but why would we be attacking one another for the issues we both have that were caused by the same source?
Mhm.
Why are we so hateful towards one another at times? Because certain things I've seen, some of the titles, I haven't watched much of the videos, but I've seen a lot of the titles. Why would you say your goal is to unify if it's in such a very, and I'm trying to be nice, it's an offensive way to unify people? Where's the love? Where's the care? Where's the understanding? Because in order for you to understand our issues, you must be gentle with us, and we'll do the same. Because the funny thing is, people will always retaliate. If somebody sees something like that, they're going to attack back. It's a rare person that will get slapped in the face and turn the
Let
other
me talk.
cheek.
Let me talk. Let me talk. Let me talk. Let me talk. Would you allow me to talk? You see,
Yes.
first of all, there was a question I was going to ask you. It was your interview, not my interview. However, uh, I'll be courteous to answer your question. But then promise me we will go back to the interview. Just promise me that. However, I will answer your question. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, ask away.
You see, when you say you're being nice, I really appreciate that. And my titles, the titles of my videos, should not be something that should be discouraging you to watch the videos.
Avance, I can't hear you. Could you repeat the question?
Okay, okay. I'm saying don't judge the book by its cover. At least read the book first before you say a book is bad by what. Just open the book and read it. Have you watched them really? Or have you just heard that Evans does this and that? Like the one I did yesterday. Have you watched it?
I'll answer your question with a question. If I made a video called Poor Black Africans Begging for Money from African Americans, how would you feel looking at that title?
I will be curious and I would love to know.
You
That is
wouldn't
how I
be
would feel
angry?
about it. No, 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 no. I
Be
won't be
honest.
angry.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. You wouldn't be angry at a title like that?
I would be cautious. I wouldn't be
You'd be
angry.
cautious. Well, okay, let me put it like this. Then you're different than most people. Most people would be mad. They'd be angry, man. They'd be more than angry. Because here's the thing, Avons. Most people would look at that and understand the intention was to make them feel bad.
Mhm.
You may
At
not be
least,
angry. Let's assume theoretically you wouldn't be
mhm.
angry watching a title that said, Is Kenya the poorest country? You wouldn't be offended by that, but I'm sure 99% of people watching, maybe you're 1%, 99% of people watching would be offended by that title. Let's
I'm,
be
I'm,
honest. You may
I'm
not,
thinking, I'm
but I'm
thinking,
telling you this, Ava, because you asked me the question, I'm answering it.
okay.
You said don't judge a book by the cover.
Mhm.
You typically have to. People don't pick up random books and start reading. You didn't look at The Art of War because you found it on a shelf. You knew that The Art of War had something you wanted to learn. And so when you make a title and you make a video, you do it with intention. That intention carries on to the person who watches it. Every detail in the process is intentional. It's not to talk down to you, man. Remember, this isn't love. But you made a point to say that your goal is to unify us. You can't
I can't
unify through
I can't see
hatred,
you well.
man.
I can't see you well. I want to see you well while talking. I want to see your
Yeah, I
face.
got my phone plugged in. 2 hours will do something to your battery.
All right. Let me check mine. Oh, all right.
I didn't bring my
So
stand because I'm at the hotel. Let me hold it like this. I don't want my charger to
let me
disconnect.
let me talk, brother. Let me talk. Let me talk. So I think we should have had this conversation differently, not in this space. You see, I would have really and gladly answered you, but you asking me this question in this space is gonna trigger some responses from me. And you said you are being nice. I'm also being nice. I'm trying to use restraint right now. What you should realize is that this is YouTube, brother Mark. And if it's YouTube, my goal is one. People don't have to agree with what I do. People don't have to set the standards for how I do things. You said no one is righteous to put themselves in a way that they're telling people do this, do that. Nobody has the authority. The same way, nobody has the authority to say you should be doing videos in this way. You should be doing this kind of videos. If I said that,
Wait, I'm sorry.
um,
I didn't
if
hear that. Could you repeat it one more time? You said nobody should say.
okay, just sit upright kidogo.
No, no, it's hard for me to hear. For some reason, the microphone's not working like it was earlier. You
I'm
said
saying
people shouldn't say
nobody.
something about doing a certain
Yeah,
video.
yeah. You see, nobody should
Didn't you
set
get upset
a
that Go
standard.
Black did a video the way he did it?
No, 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 brother Mark.
So you
Just
gonna tell him he can't do a video that way, but you can do
no,
one this
no, no,
way?
no. Give me the space. Give me the space. Just try and give me the space. The same way I'm letting you speak, I want you to give me the space to speak. You are my guest, remember? I want you to abide by my rules here. So you're gonna listen,
But you
okay?
hear the hypocrisy, right? This isn't out of hatred. I'm trying to understand what you mean.
Just let me talk. Just let me talk. I know you're a very understanding guy. I want you to understand me. Don't be self-righteous, and you listen to me kindly. Are you willing to listen, brother? I will talk. Mhm. All right. I'm guessing you're willing to listen. So the point is this: the title of videos I'm making are not defining what's the real thing. I design titles from the words people speak from their own mouths. I don't put words into their mouth and tell them, hey, I want you to say this and that. I do commentaries, I do reaction videos, and I don't put words into those people's mouths. You see, what what Go Black to Africa said is not something that he had someone else say. It's something that he thought of himself. As you should know, the nature of my videos is about reaction videos. I don't just make titles out of nothing. I extract them from the words which were spoken. So I don't really think it's my fault that somebody said something. It should be their
Hey,
fault because
Evan,
even even
I'm
even
sorry
if
to
I
interrupt
say
you. I just got a call from a lady, and she's a friend of mine.
mm,
Grace, if you're watching this, I'm talking about you. She needs me to call her son because they're having an issue. Well, no, I
mm,
won't say all of it, but I gotta
all
get
right,
off
all
of
right,
this.
all right. Okay, I will try and call you on WhatsApp. So guys, so unfortunate, but we are going to take this conversation private. So thank you, Mark, for joining the live stream. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, we could even do another live. I love debate, man. But don't feel
No,
bad
no, no,
about
no,
it.
no, no.
Remember, I'm not here to attack people. I just like to know. I don't understand. That's why I'm asking.
I will tell you when I'll be free. I want you not to miss that phone call. Is it okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll end the live stream right now.
Thank